the world's largest international airline, Emirates, operating from the global crossroads of Dubai, somehow managed to become an aviation superpower, while completely snubbing the most successful long-haul aircraft in history, the Boeing 747. While other airlines were building their empires on the Queen of the Skies, Emirates looked at this aviation icon and essentially declined. And that decision, that rejection, would completely reshape not just Emirates, but the entire aviation industry. Today, I'm revealing the untold story of why Emirates hated the Boeing 747, and trust me, the real reasons will leave you shocked. By the 1990s, every major international airline had 747s. British Airways had 57 of them. Japan Airlines operated 108 throughout its history. Even tiny airlines like Air Namibia had 747s. But Emirates, with its massive ambitions and unlimited oil money, looked at the world's most proven long-haul aircraft and walked away. The official story you'll hear is about fleet commonality and operational efficiency. But that's corporate speaking, hiding a much more fascinating truth. The real story involves a bitter rivalry, a massive gamble, and a young airline's audacious plan to rewrite the rules of aviation. To understand this rejection, we need to go back to 1985. Emirates has just been founded with 2 leased aircrafts and a laugh-out-loud business plan: build a global hub in the middle of the desert. The aviation establishment thought it was a joke. London, Paris, Frankfurt, these were real hubs. Dubai was a fuel stop. Now here's where it gets interesting. The conventional wisdom said that if you wanted to fly long haul, you needed the 747. It was the only aircraft that made economic sense for routes over 10 hours. Every consultant, every industry expert, every competing airline CEO would have told Emirates, buy 747s. Lots of them. But Maurice Flanagan, Emirates' founding CEO, and later Tim Clark, had noticed something everyone else missed. The 747 was designed for a different era, an era of point-to-point travel between major cities. You flew from London to Sydney with a stop in Singapore. You flew from New York to Tokyo non-stop. The 747 was perfect for these thick routes with hundreds of passengers. But Emirates wasn't trying to connect established city pairs. They were trying to do something audacious, make Dubai the center of the aviation world. And for that, the 747 was actually their worst enemy. The first reason Emirates hated the 747 that nobody talks about: the 4-engine curse. Yes, 4 engines mean redundancy and safety. But let me tell you what 4 engines really means for an airline based in the desert. 4 engines mean 4 chances for a bird strike, 4 air filters clogging with sand, 4 sets of incredibly expensive maintenance procedures. In Dubai's extreme environment, where temperatures hit 50 degrees Celsius and sandstorms can appear from nowhere, maintaining 4 engines per aircraft was a nightmare Emirates wanted to avoid. But the real 4-engine problem was more subtle. The 747 was designed when fuel was cheap and environmental regulations were non-existent. By the 1990s, that world was disappearing. Emirates leadership made a calculation that sounds obvious now, but was radical then. The 4-engine era was ending. They watched as Boeing and Airbus poured billions into developing twin-engine aircrafts that could fly just as far as the 747. The 777, the A330, the A340, these were the future. And here's the kicker. While competitors were stuck with massive 747 fleets they'd have to operate for decades, Emirates could leapfrog straight to the next generation. But the real genius of Emirates' 747 rejection comes down to mathematics that would revolutionize aviation. Let me paint you a picture that will blow your mind. Traditional airlines used what's called a point-to-point model. You fill a 747 with 400 passengers in London, fly them to Sydney, and hope you can fill it again for the return. Simple, right? But what if you can't fill all 400 seats? You're flying a massive aircraft half empty across the world, bleeding money with every mile. Emirates had a different idea. Instead of one 747 flying London to Sydney, why not have two smaller aircrafts? One flying London to Dubai, another Dubai to Sydney. Now you're not just serving London-Sydney passengers. You're also serving London-Dubai, Dubai-Sydney, and crucially, you can connect passengers from anywhere to anywhere through Dubai. The 747 was too big for this model. You can't efficiently fill a 747 from London to Dubai 3 times a day. But you can fill a 777 or an A330. This meant Emirates could offer multiple daily flights on routes where competitors offered one. Miss your connection? No problem. Another flight leaves in 4 hours. Not 24. This is where everyone else was blind. They saw the 747's 400-plus seats as an advantage. Emirates saw it as a limitation. The 747 forced you into low-frequency, point-to-point operations. Emirates wanted high-frequency, connecting-the-world operations. Now here's where the story takes a controversial turn that most aviation journalists won't tell you. Emirates' rejection of the 747 wasn't just about operational philosophy. It was about a deeper relationship with Boeing's bitter rival Airbus. In the late 1990s, Emirates made a decision that shocked the industry. While Boeing was pushing them towards 747s, Emirates placed a massive order for Airbus A330s and A340s. But here's the part nobody talks about. Airbus allegedly offered Emirates something Boeing couldn't, a partnership in defining the future of aviation. When Airbus started developing the A380, guess who was in the room from day one? Emirates. They didn't just order the A380, they practically co-designed it. The bar lounge, the shower spas, the private suites. These weren't Airbus ideas. They were Emirates requirements that Airbus built into the plane. Boeing, meanwhile, was trying to sell Emirates an aircraft designed in the 1960s. The 747-8, Boeing's last attempt to modernize the Queen, came too late. Emirates had already bet everything on Airbus, and that bet included explicitly rejecting the 747 philosophy. Think about the message this sent. The world's fastest-growing airline was saying Boeing's flagship was obsolete. That's not just a business decision. That's a declaration of war. But here's the brilliantly cynical reason Emirates hated the 747 that they'll never admit publicly: the passenger perception problem. By the 2000s, the 747 had an image problem. Yes, aviation geeks loved it. But to the average passenger, the 747 meant something specific: cramped seats, outdated interiors, and that weird hump that made the plane look old-fashioned. The 747 was your dad's airplane. Emirates was building a luxury brand. They wanted to be the Louis Vuitton of the skies, not the Samsonite. Every aircraft in their fleet needed to scream modernity, luxury, and innovation. The 747, no matter how many upgrades Boeing offered, looked like yesterday's news. Here's a shocking statistic. Emirates' own internal surveys showed that passengers would actively choose flights on newer aircraft types over 747s, even when the 747 might have been recently manufactured. The plane's silhouette had become a liability. Meanwhile, when Emirates rolled out their A380s and 77s with their game-changing first-class suites and business-class bars, they could market them as the latest aircraft with cutting-edge technology. Try saying that about a 747 design from 1969 with a straight face. The marketing department at Emirates must have been popping champagne when they realized their biggest competitors were stuck flying aircraft that looked like they belonged in a museum. Every Emirates ad could subtly emphasize their modern fleet, while competitors scrambled to explain why their 747s were actually still really good. Here's another angle nobody considers. The 747 was a flexibility killer, and Emirates valued flexibility above almost everything else. The 747 is massive. It needs specific gates, specific runways, specific maintenance hangars. Not every airport can handle a 747. This meant that if Emirates had bought 747s, they would have been locked into serving only major airports. but Emirates' entire strategy depended on connecting everywhere to everywhere. Want to fly from Birmingham to Colombo? Lagos to Manila? Prague to Perth? Emirates could make these routes work with their 77s and A330s flying through Dubai. Try doing that with a 747. Half these airports couldn't even handle the aircraft. But it goes deeper. The 747's cargo capacity was actually a disadvantage for Emirates' model. The 747 was designed when airlines made significant money from cargo. But Emirates discovered something counterintuitive. Two smaller aircraft could carry more revenue cargo than one large aircraft. Why? Because you could offer more frequent cargo services, charging premium prices for next-day delivery instead of whenever the weekly 747 flies delivery. Emirates was building a just-in-time global logistics network, while their competitors were running what was essentially an airborne cargo ship. The 747 was perfect for the old model. Emirates was building the new one. But here's the ultimate irony in this story, and it's something that makes Emirates executives wince to this day. The one version of the 747 that Emirates actually wanted, desperately wanted, was the one Boeing refused to build properly. I'm talking about the 747-8F, the freighter version. Emirates actually ordered 10 of these in 2007. Finally, a 747 in Emirates colors. But then Boeing did something that confirmed every suspicion Emirates had about the company's priorities. Boeing kept delaying the 747-8F, prioritizing other customers, making excuse after excuse. Emirates eventually canceled the order in 2017, buying 777 freighters instead. The message was clear. Even when Emirates wanted a 747, Boeing couldn't deliver. It was the final nail in the coffin of a relationship that never really existed. And here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Emirates' rejection of the 747 actually helped kill the aircraft. When the world's largest international airline publicly rejects your flagship product for 30 years, other airlines notice. Suddenly, buying 747s seemed like betting on the past. Emirates didn't just reject the 747, they helped accelerate its demise. Fast forward to modern day, and Emirates' 747 hatred looks like genius. While airlines like Lufthansa and British Airways spent billions retrofitting and eventually retiring their 747 fleets, Emirates sailed through with modern, efficient aircraft. During COVID-19, when four-engine aircraft became almost impossible to operate economically, Emirates' twin-engine fleet gave them flexibility their competitors could only dream of. The numbers are staggering. Emirates operates the world's largest fleets of both 777s and A380s. They've never operated a single 747 in passenger service. And they've become the world's largest international airline by passenger kilometers flown. The strategy that seemed insane in 1990 looks prophetic in 2025. But here's the real vindication. Boeing itself admitted Emirates was right. The 747 production line is closing. The last 747 will roll out of the factory soon. Meanwhile, Emirates has ordered 200-plus Boeing 777X aircrafts, the spiritual successor to what the 747 should have evolved into. Twin engines, composite materials, and designed for the hub and spoke model Emirates pioneered. So why did Emirates hate the Boeing 747? It wasn't hate, it was vision. While the rest of the aviation world was looking backward, celebrating an icon, Emirates was looking forward, building the future. They saw that four engines were becoming obsolete. They understood that frequency beats capacity. They realized that flexibility was worth more than prestige. And most importantly, they knew that in aviation, like in technology, sometimes the best move is to skip a generation entirely. The 747 is a magnificent aircraft that changed the world. But Emirates changed the world by rejecting it. They proved you don't need the queen of the skies to rule the skies. You just need to see the future before everyone else does. What do you think? Was Emirates right to skip the 747 entirely? Or did they miss out on operating an aviation icon? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into aviation's most controversial fleet decision, don't forget to subscribe for more aviation stories the airlines don't want you to know. Until next time, keep questioning everything you think you know about aviation.